Hey, this is Jordan, and this is what I thought of the comics I read the week of August 12th, 2009. But before we start, please don't forget to check out my video for my review on Universal War 1, a great comic you should all check out. And we're going to start things off with Amazing Spider-Man 602. This is a very solid issue. The art was back on track. I didn't really care for it last week, but this week Kitson really does a very solid job. Nothing special, but it looks good. Actually, if I had to compare it to anything, I'd say it looks very DC, and I don't even know what that means, but it looks very DC. Now, if there's one thing that I would have to say has been done very consistently well since the One More Day retcon, it's the reinvigoration of villains. This issue sees the return and slight reinvention of the original Spider-Man villain, the Chameleon. The story is very solid. It sets up some new adventures for Pete as he begins to work for Mayor J. Jonah Jameson, and it also puts Peter in a very sticky situation at the end of the issue. As in, looked like he died. Which, didn't he do that like 6 issues ago? Anyway, looks like he died, but you know he didn't. Big question is, how did he get out of this one? We'll find out next week. All in all, it's a good issue, but I do have one complaint. The issue starts off with a single page discussing 9/11 and some other bombings throughout the last 10 years or so. It wasn't intended to be, but it came off very inappropriate, and yeah, not a huge fan of that. But if you can get past that page, it's a good issue. Next up, we have Cable, issue 17. And what's that? No feet? Unnecessary pouches? A giant gun that's not even really physically possible to exist? Is this a Rob Liefeld cover? Yeah, it is. And in the same way, a Rob Liefeld cover makes me go, eh. So did this issue, really. The art inside, which wasn't him, don't worry. He just did the variant cover. It was nothing spectacular, although it kind of fit the story in that the story was nothing spectacular. And I gotta say, as much as I love Cable, I'm really sick and tired of what this book has been doing for 17 issues. If it was any character other than Cable, I probably would have dropped the book by now. But I keep hoping that something different's gonna happen. I mean, don't get me wrong, towards the beginning of the book I found it kind of interesting. I really liked the art back then, and the whole time traveling to keep Hope safe and you can only go forward thing was kind of cool, but now it just feels kind of boring. Basically, the only thing continuity-wise that these 17 issues have done is age Hope, the character, from a baby to a girl who's now probably 12 or 13. Hopefully by the end of this arc, the writers will have decided they've aged her enough that they can successfully merge her into the Marvel Universe proper, but otherwise this is just getting kind of annoying. Going back to the art for a minute. At the end of last issue, Cable was completely turning to metal, and of course at the beginning of this issue, he pretty much just stopped that from happening. But anyway, in between those two events, this is what he looked like, more or less. So my question is why, in this issue, the artist couldn't keep the patch of his face that was metal consistent. Because one moment it was just here, and then this is the only place that wasn't covered in metal, and all this was metal. And then here, and then here, and then here. Now, granted, he kept it mostly to one side of the face, but come on, dude, be consistent. It just looked weird. All in all, I can't really recommend this issue, but like I said, I keep crossing my fingers it's going to get better, and fast. But you know what I don't think could get any better? Deadpool, issue 13. Last issue, Deadpool finally got the money he's been seeking since pretty much the beginning of this volume. And then he was so bored while hiding out that he blew his brains out at the end of the issue. So after you've done that, what else is there to do? Well, if the cover was any indication, you become a pirate. And in this issue, that's exactly what Deadpool does. Now, if you're going to dress up as a pirate, and you're insane, Deadpool, who do you want as your parrot? How about Bob, agent of Hydra? That's right, in this issue, Bob finally returns. He showed up earlier in the volume, like issue 6 or something, but it's good to have him back, and hopefully he sticks around for a while. I loved this issue. The art and the writing were incredibly solid. I was laughing out loud on pretty much every page, and it never really let me down once. In fact, the biggest compliment I can give this book is that, in many ways, it reminded me of the Venture Brothers. And not just in the writing either, or the inclusion of pirates. There's no ghost pirates, but there was pirates. In fact, even the art reminded me of the Venture Brothers. And comic-wise, it reminded me of the Venture Brothers mixed with the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So if you can picture in your mind the love child of those two styles of art, or if you just, look at the art, you know exactly what I mean. This issue also provided me with what I think is going to be my new pickup line. So, you like unicorns? Also, I'm a pirate. It didn't really work for Deadpool, but he's a cartoon and I'm real, so that could be the deciding factor. Just gotta get a parrot. So that's it for individual issues that came out this week. However, I did make another purchase for another book that was released this week. The Walking Dead, Volume 10. What We Become. If you're already familiar with The Walking Dead, you already pretty much can guess what I'm going to say. The story's great. The art really fits it. It's emotionally overwhelming. It's going to tug at your heartstrings. And I read through this trade in about 30 minutes. Look, Kirkman's one of my favorite writers out there, and I love this series, but I can't think of any other book that I read this fast and that just flies by. That's The Walking Dead. In comic news this week, it was released that AMC is going to be developing The Walking Dead into a television series, and after the recent success with Mad Men and Breaking Bad, I really can't wait. Granted, in a perfect world, the show would be going to Showtime or HBO, but at least it's not going to a major broadcast television network because I don't want it to be ruined, and it would be there. Bottom line, check out Walking Dead, check out this volume, check out all the other volumes. You can pick it up in hardcover, you can pick it up in oversized hardcover, you can buy the floppies. If you like zombie apocalypses, apocalypse, whichever, there's no better book on the market than The Walking Dead. Well, that's it for this week. See you in 7 days.